How does shrinking one's physical size affect their perceived masculinity or their masculinity as a whole? Okay, this is Kendall Project blog of the week, one of them at least. So last week we were talking about how the process works. I was showing you guys a lot of the behind the scenes and talking about some of the ways of thinking about it. It's also an opportunity for me to talk about ideas that I'm not real comfortable with verbally yet. It's kind of a way of kind of throwing up ideas and vomiting them out just to try to make sense. And one of the things I didn't mention last week that really kind of stuck in my head is, what question am I asking? Okay. One of the main questions I'm asking right now with the work that I'm trying to create is, how does shrinking one's physical size affect their perceived masculinity or their masculinity as a whole? So with the last 5 years, with the continual downward turn of my health and how my weight has creeped up, I'm a big guy anyway. I'm over 6 feet tall, and like I said, I was probably weighing about 280 several months ago, and that's a big guy. So anytime you walk into a room, you demand a presence that someone that's not that size just doesn't. Plus you add in long hair with a beard, overalls, I don't know, tattoos, the whole thing. Your perception and your masculinity for your perception of your masculinity is amplified in a lot of different ways. So being involved with the rock and roll culture, and then also the kind of art that I've been making, my physical size kind of made sense. And also with the performances that I was doing, my physical size just made it all much more absurd and funny and interesting, I hope. So now the question I'm asking, as my body shrinks and my endurance increases, physical endurance increases, how does that shape or inform my masculinity? So I don't know the answer to that. And I think that's what I do when I'm asking the question, is just, what are the possibilities of posing that specific question? So the work that I'm working on, like I was talking about the Ordeal and Joseph Campbell last week, is part of the ordeal is what happens when masculinity is shrunken down. Or maybe not even shrunken down. What happens to the physical size when it's shrunken down? So you have this big, giant, monster type character, and you have this smaller, leaner character. That, how do they compete with each other? Or do they, well, they're going to compete with each other, but what does that look like? It's kind of like, I think about the tortoise and the hare, but more like maybe the grizzly bear and the gazelle. Like how they're formative racing opponents. Like if you put them down on the starting line and you took them off, like the bear is probably going to lose in the long run, but like what if you oppose them, and what could they work on, how that works? So the characters are kind of like this grizzly bear and then this gazelle type idea. So just thinking of like a football player and a triathlete. How do they relate? How can they make sense with each other? So the images that I'm creating in this ordeal is like, these are the two in the same. They're the same person or the same hero, but they're polar opposites. At least that's how I'm thinking about them right now. And how do they relate to each other? And when they go to this dark place, or they go into the abyss or the unknown, they break the threshold, there's another character there that's, right now I'm thinking about maybe an Ozzy Osbourne type character, like the Wizard of Oz, not the Wizard of Oz, the Blizzard of Oz, that character with the tassels and the devil horns and that whole thing. Like maybe this guy is, or this character is the one orchestrating this dilemma or this ordeal for the character, splitting the character into two. Who comes out on top, and how does it change the character long term? That is where I'm thinking about, and I'm hoping that I'll get some images in today of those characters. I'm doing 2 very specific drawings of each character, as well as I've done some specific sketches in the sketchbook that may not make sense, but this way of me brainstorming moving forward. So that's what I just wanted to mention that in this short little vlogcast about what's the question I'm asking. So I'm asking, what happens when the physical size of the hero, what happens to the masculinity when the physical size of the hero shrinks? And I don't know the answer to that, so stay tuned and we'll come back with some interesting takes on that and maybe some newer drawings before the end of the week comes out. So we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.